thick you can get your hands on. The whole sequence where these two are talking about getting married at the climax of the game, by the way, where the world literally lies in balance, casually gunning down approaching enemies like they haven't got a care in the world, is the definition of
with flowers and a
holding off the frogs with Meryl long enough for Snake to complete his mission. But at that point, like, it's kind of hard to unsee someone shitting their pants, you know what I mean?
Stop right there!
No!
Thankfully, though, you don't see this dumb asshole for most of the game, which is good. So, like acid reflux, it only comes up now and again.
This is not good.
Right, now getting back to the campaign, finally. After that boss fight with Octopus, there's a really fun sequence where you need to track down where Naomi was taken, following footprints and trying to ascertain which ones are the right ones, whilst also avoiding enemy patrols. And again, it's a really cool little segment that reminds me a lot of Metal Gear Solid 3, capturing everything fun about those games, you know, being able to mess around with the AI whichever way you see fit. From here, though, it all kind of goes downhill. This act ends with an entirely on-rails chase sequence on the back of an APC, where you're shooting at geckos with a 50 cal and pushing back soldiers who have scrambled eggs for brains as they keep trying to pull themselves up onto the vehicle. The best part of this entire sequence, which is a fight scene against Vamp and returning emo bad boy Raiden, is entirely out of your control. But it is pretty cool to watch and has some really impressive fight choreography, capturing that batshit crazy combat style that Kojima's known for. Kind of funny too how whichever character you're not controlling always seems like the cooler one. It's like seeing Snake show up at the Big Shell all over again. Now, the reason I said it's all downhill from here is that from this point on, you're basically just locked into this member berries ride that you can't really delineate from.
I'll explain everything.
For the next chapter, you're in Eastern Europe, somewhere, trying to find the leader of a rebel group who might be able to help you find the corpse of Big Boss. And despite needing to sneak into the city undetected, even going so far as to change his facial appearance with this new camo tech, Snake causes a scene during a routine checkpoint inspection for no good reason.
I said over here!
Saved only by the fact that this PMC group happens to be led by Meryl, who saves him in the nick of time. And I mean, what was his endgame here? Was he just going to resist these heavily armed soldiers and hope he didn't get arrested or detained?
That's enough.
Anyway, Meryl manages to wave him through, and if Meryl's here, then you know who else has to be. Yeah.
Snake! Over here! Hey, Snake!
What is wrong with that guy?
Now, for the first part of this act, all you're really doing is following a single NPC through these dimly lit streets so he can lead you to the location of the rebels. Dimly lit streets where it looks like someone's turned up the bloom settings a bit too high because you can't see jack shit. Now, you can let this guy wander off if you want to, but at the end of the day, or the night I should say, you still need to tail this guy to find the rebel base. There's some fun ways that you can mess around with the AI, but you never really need to. You can get by the entire time by just pretty much staying prone and shooting these guys in the face with a trank gun. So the whole thing's not even that remotely difficult. After you finally reach the rebel base, you're treated to yet another badass cinematic showing Snake doing something really cool, which we yet again don't have any control over. Having said that though, it does in a good way remind you just how proficient this dude is, and watching him take down a dozen people in a way that'll make John Wick look like an amateur is pretty sweet. After this bit, get comfy, because you're gonna sit through another 20 to 30 minutes of exposition as we meet up with the rebel leader named Big Mama. And look, if you need to be told who she really is at this point, well, then I have to conclude that you've either not played the third game or have just got a lot of empty real estate in between your ears. And then for the final part of this act, you're again on rails, this time on the side of Big Mama's motorbike, for a high-speed chase throughout the city streets for yet another forced combat sequence. This time outrunning PMC soldiers, frogs, and Raging Raven and her robotic cronies. And this bit, this right here, is the absolute worst section of the entire game, if you're trying to beat it on European Extreme. And I just can't tell you how long it took me, how much blood, sweat, tears, and semen were expended